Hey everyone, I'm Jaden.
And I'm Noah.
And we are the Super Gamer Bros. And this is the Super Gamer Bros podcast. We're just a couple of brothers who love playing games and love talking about games, so that's what we do. So today, Noah, it's kind of different. We're actually sitting next to each other again.
Is that my cue?
Yeah,
What do you want me to say there?
I don't know. It's kind of weird because for anyone who cares, when we recorded the Star Wars episode with Dylan, we just recorded that one over Zoom, and then while recording that one, I realized that our audio sounds way better than when we record in person. So we've just been recording over Zoom ever since. But then, because someone is having some technical issues with their headset at home.
That's me.
We have to... I wasn't going to name names. We're recording here now. Well, just in person. So, if you're listening to this and thinking, man, the audio quality has really gone down this episode, that's why. I don't know. But anyway, Noah, today we're talking about Psychonauts.
Psychonauts, not the first Tim Schafer game that has appeared on this podcast.
That is correct.
But arguably the best.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that. It's, I think Tim Schafer, it's like, he's one of those people in the games industry that I think is just known for releasing good games. At least, like, in my experience, I haven't seen a bad game that he has released. He's one of those guys, like, it kind of sucks for him because he really, he releases good games that do not perform well sales-wise.
That's true. Like, his thing is all his games are cult classics.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. It gives you, edge and, lore around you, but it's not really cool for your wallet because it means your games don't sell at all.
Yeah. Yes, he released, he created Grim Fandango, which we did talk about. And then he started his own studio, Double Fine, which then created Psychonauts. And then also after that created Brutal Legend, which is another cult classic game. Very much did not perform well, but I played it, I loved it, and people who played it generally loved it.
I've never played it, but I think I know what it is. Is it like a beat 'em up where you play as
it's
a person
the Jack
with a
Black
guitar?
game?
No, I have no idea. I thought Kung Fu Panda was the Jack Black game.
No, you're correct. You play as a dude with a guitar, but he's played by Jack Black.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was another game that very much did not do well, but was very, a cult classic.
Right. And all of his games have been critically reviewed well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Brutal Legend might have been, his worst reviewed, but even that was, mixed to positive. Mm-hmm. Still, very, very little negative reviews. Anyway, so we're talking about Psychonauts because as of 6 days ago, 5 days ago, when this episode comes out, Psychonauts 2 just came out.
That's right, the sequel.
Yep, 16 years after the original Psychonauts. Though there was that VR game a couple years ago. Did you play that? I did not play it.
I didn't play it. You didn't play it because you didn't have a VR. I didn't play it because VR games are too expensive for the quality that they are made. And that's just because it's a new technology. It's a whole thing. I bought a VR at the bad time. That's a different story. But Psychonauts 2 coming out 16 years later, this is not an uncommon thing, especially nowadays. You see a lot of reboots, remasters.
Yeah, no, especially I think with the advent of things like Let's Plays and streaming, you get a lot of these old cult classic games that get widespread attention because you have a popular person on the internet play it. I think probably the best example of that was the EA's Skate series. PewDiePie played Skate 3, and then there was such a high demand for that game that EA actually had to start reprinting CDs with that game for game stores because demand for it was so high.
That's true. We have seen that in the gaming industry. Consumers have a heavy hand in basically what goes into developers and publishers' decisions.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. I personally love it because these older games like Psychonauts, like Grim Fandango, they're games that growing up watching gaming videos on YouTube and just kind of being in the gaming scene like we were, those are like two games. Almost, I would say those two games more than any others, even games that I always heard stuff about. Every like few YouTube videos, like if it was like a top 10, best games of this era or top 10 cult classics, anything like that, like those two were always on those videos. Mm-hmm. And we started playing games like seriously, really not until the PlayStation 3 came out. So all of those, like even like both cult classics and just really popular like PS1, PS2 games, we for the most part have not played. And so, like, I always want to go back and play them. And, like, obviously the best way to do that when you have, like, Psychonauts and Grim Fandango when they re-release them on the PS4. Like, anytime, like, an old game like that is remastered, re-released, I will always be in line to pick it up because I just want to play those games. Psychonauts definitely one of them, and I'm glad I did. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I was hesitant to play it myself. You started playing it, and one of the YouTubers I was... a fan of, really enjoyed it and talked about it a lot. But I was still hesitant because old games, it wasn't that long ago that the 3D movable camera was put into video games for the first time. So before that, most games had locked camera positions. And that just makes moving around in those old games and the controls really difficult and clunky feeling compared to modern games. And for that reason, I've had a problem playing a lot of these old games. But Psychonauts, I didn't feel like it had that issue, and I'm glad I played it as well. I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then, like the sequel came out. I'm sure we'll talk about the sequel eventually. And this really is one of the games that we talked about doing really early. Like when we did Grim Fandango, we did that as early as we did in the podcast because we wanted to kind of show the range in terms of dates of games we would be talking about. Because like we talked about Arkham Asylum and then God of War 2018 and then Grim Fandango. So I wanted people to know if they looked through our like episode list that, we talk about old games, we talk about new games, we just talk about games that we love. And it was really between Grim Fandango and Psychonauts for which one we wanted to talk about early on.
That's true. We ended up going with Grim Fandango because it was the one we played first.
Yeah, anyway. So now we're talking about Psychonauts. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the story of Psychonauts is set in the fictional Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp, a remote U.S. government training facility under the guise of a children's summer camp. I want to go into like kind of the backstory of the world here. Centuries ago, the area was hit by a meteor made of Psychonium, which is a fictional element in the world that can grant psychic powers or strengthen existing powers. And it made a huge crater. The Psychonium affected local wildlife, giving them limited psychic powers, such as you experience in the game, bears with the ability to attack with telekinetic claws, cougars with pyrokinesis, and rats that can like have this like confusion gas kind of thing. Native Americans of the area called the Psychonium Whispering Rock, and they used it to build arrowheads, which are like a collectible you can find in the game, the psychic arrowheads. When settlers began inhabiting the region, the psychoactive properties of the meteor slowly drove them insane, to which an asylum was built to house the afflicted. But within 15 years, the asylum had more residents than the town. And the founder of the asylum committed suicide by throwing himself from the asylum's tower. And so the government relocated all the inhabitants, flooded the crater to prevent further settlement, creating what is now Lake Oblongata. The asylum still stands, but has fallen into disrepair. The government did take advantage of the Psychonium deposit to set up a training camp for Psychonauts, a group of agents gifted with psychic abilities that use their psychic abilities to defeat evildoers. The training ground is disguised as a summer camp, but in reality helps the children hone their abilities and train them to be Psychonauts themselves. Due to this, only those recruited by the Psychonauts are allowed in the camp. And that is the real world. You also have the mental world, also known as mindscapes, which is the realm in which people's minds are physically manifested, as well as the minds themselves. So in this game, you go into someone's mind, and this kind of world that is created by their mind is the mental world. Psychics can access a person's mental world, typically by using what is called a psychoportal, which is literally just a little door you throw on someone's head. And they can manipulate it in order to affect a person's psyche or actions in the real world. And mental worlds can be greatly manipulated by psychics, whether intentionally or unintentionally, which is something that you very much do in this game. To get into the story, because that was just all background information, you play as Rasputin Raz Aquato, who is a young circus boy with psychic powers. And so he has fled from the circus and attempts to sneak in the camp, but is caught by the Psychonauts. They agree to let him stay until his parents arrive, but they refuse to let him take part in any camp activities because, he was not recruited. However, they do allow him to take part in Coach Oleander's, one of the Psychonauts, basic braining course. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Braining.
Yeah.
Like training.
Yeah, no, I got that part.
But because it's their minds.
All right.
And he easily passes. Impressed, Agent 9 invites Raz to take part in an experiment to determine the extent of his abilities. During this experiment, Raz comes across a vision of Dr. Lobato, an insane ex-dentist, extracting another camper's brain, this camper Dogen. But Raz is unable to intervene. Raz eventually realizes that the vision is true after finding Dogen without a brain. But the Psychonauts don't believe him. So after receiving some additional training from Agent Mila Vadella, Raz learns that Dr. Lobato is working on behalf of Coach Oleander, who intends to harvest the camper's brains to power an army of psychic death tanks.
Subtle.
Yeah. Lily Zanato, another camper, who is the daughter of the head of the Psychonauts and Raz's love interest at the game, is soon abducted as well. And with both Agents 9 and Vadella missing, Raz takes it upon himself to infiltrate the abandoned Thorny Towers home for the disturbed insane asylum where she was taken. Agent Ford Cruller, who is the head of the Psycho... Well, I don't know if... I think he was just a really, advanced agent. I don't think he was ever actually the head.
I thought he was the head, but I don't know.
He might have been the former head.
Mm-hmm.
But, basically his deal is he got injured in a... psychic duel years ago that split his personality, and he can only retain his personality in his lair, which is located underground in the camp. He gives Raz a piece of bacon, which he can use to contact Cruller at any time, and tasks him with retrieving the stolen brains so he can return them to the campers.
So Raz frees the mutated lungfish Linda from Coach Oleander's control, and she takes him safely across the lake. At the asylum, Raz helps the inmates overcome their illnesses, and they help him access the upper levels of the asylum, where Lobato has set up his lab. He frees Lily and restores Agents 9 and Vadella's minds, allowing them to confront Coach Oleander. The inmates subsequently burn down the asylum, allowing Coach Oleander to transfer his brain to a giant tank. Raz defeats him, but when he approaches the tank, it releases a cloud of sneezing powder, causing him to sneeze his brain out. Raz uses his telekinesis to place his brain inside the tank, merging it with Oleander's. Inside, Raz discovers that Coach Oleander's evil springs from his childhood fear of his father, who ran a butcher shop, being amplified by the Psytanium. At the same time, Raz's own father appears and the two dads join forces. However, he turns out to be an imposter, with Raz's real father, Augustus, appearing and using his own psychic abilities to fix his son's tangled mind and beat the personal demons. At the camp's closing ceremony, Agent Cruller presents him with a uniform and welcomes him into the Psychonauts. Raz prepares to leave the camp with his father, but word arrives that the grand head of the Psychonauts, Lily's father, Truman Zanato, has been kidnapped. Thus, Raz and the Psychonauts fly off on their new mission. And that's actually, it continues directly into the
and then 16
VR.
Years later, the game picks up 4 minutes later.
I like when it's like that, though. Immediate sequels, no time in between.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think, it definitely, it's always upsetting to me to play, especially, older games that have that definite, tease at a sequel that I know never came because of, poor sales, something like that, which obviously... Now that obviously Psychonauts 2 is out, but even back when I first played Psychonauts, it was something that it was always Psychonauts 2 was always in the works. It was always being worked on.
Yeah, development hell.
Yeah, but I never heard anything about it, so I assumed it was one of those games that would just stay in development hell forever. But I like the story. I think it's like, to me, game stories, I feel like kind of are split to, like, pre-Uncharted and post-Uncharted. Because Uncharted is, I feel, in gaming history when, like, serious
cinematic experiences.
Serious stories, serious cinematic experiences, serious voice acting. Really, when that became, like, a big focal point for games. So, a lot of games, beforehand, the stories are something that I always think, like, okay, well, stories weren't as big a deal at this point, so, always kind of think about that a bit. There are obviously games that very much have very good stories before that time, but it wasn't, like, as commonplace as it is today. But Psychonauts, I thought, I guess probably Tim Schafer coming from the story-focused games of LucasArts, definitely carried that over to Psychonauts.
100%.
I guess you could say the story is very, I think, sparse in the gameplay, if you know what I mean. Like, like you have to do a lot gameplay-wise before the story advances, like, a tiny bit, So, let's go ahead and talk about the gameplay.
Alright, so Psychonauts is a platform, adventure, and collect-a-thon game. The player controls Rasputin as he makes his way through the many minds of the world, solving puzzles and mental problems. Basic combat exists in the form of sensors, which are figments of the mind that recognize Raz as an intruder and attempt to get rid of him.
Yeah, and I love, just speaking of that real quick, I love how, like, I don't want to say, like, I guess the best phrase I could think of is kind of, like, grounded in reality the game is when it comes to the mind, about how, intricate the mind is, and how, like, this, game explores kind of like mental disorders or even just general mental issues that most people have, and even how intricate the mind is in terms of, like, the sensors are the mind's way of protecting itself from this intruding force being Rasputin. So it's like they're enemies in the game, but it's almost like you're like robber fighting the cops kind of thing in this. It's like they're not really bad guys, like they're not trying to harm the brain while you're trying to help this person. It's like you're trying to help this person, but the brain doesn't know that and thinks you're trying to hurt this person and is trying to help the person by stopping you. Yeah, I just think it's cool. It
is cool. I do think this game does a really nice job of exploring psychoses and making it seem realistic and believable.
Yeah. Like we'll get into that a bit more detail when we talk about, like, the collectibles, because that's a big part of it. It's just something that I just from the moment I played this game, like going through the tutorial, I was like, man, like this, I really like what they're going for.
That's true. I completely agree. So in this game, you have psi powers, which are the different psychic abilities that Raz uses in the game. So they're unlocked through story progression, gaining psi ranks, and buying them in the in-game store. Oh, I remember in-game stores that didn't cost real money. It was actually fun.
No, I love in-game stores. Depending. Yeah, I definitely think microtransactions have ruined that quite a bit.
Amen.
Yeah.
But you can make grinding for a currency in a game fun
and
rewarding.
Yeah.
So the powers in this game include Psi Punch, Psi Blast, Telekinesis, Pyrokinesis, Levitation, Clairvoyance, Shield, and Confusion.
Let's stop for a second. Do you have a favorite of these?
I was going to say I have the one that I use the most.
Oh, Psi Punch?
Levitation.
That's the ball thing.
Yep.
Yeah, use that to float, use it to
get
around
everything.
Faster.
It's my movement complete.
Yeah,
I own, like, as soon as I got Levitation, my movement in the game increased, tenfold.
I would say, I mean, obviously, Levitation is a big one. I really love the Clairvoyance, where, you go into someone else's mind and see the world through their eyes, and just using that on, like, as many different people as possible to see how they view things is just so, it's just so, like, fun. Like, it's just, like, a good time.
That's true, but it has very few legitimate uses
in
the game.
Yeah, it's not, like, it's really only used, like, for, like, in one world that, like, it's kind of a big deal. But even then, hypothetically, I would say it's only necessary in one boss fight.
Yep.
And other than that, it's something that like makes it easier, but you can also, any like puzzle or anything that you can use it, you can also solve the puzzle without too much difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like I said, it's just fun to use to look at like see how different people view Raz. Like that's fun.
Yeah, I did see a video pop up on YouTube the other day that was how everybody sees Raz, and I did watch a little bit of it. It was funny.
Yeah.
All these powers are really interesting and fun and unique, and I'm excited to see what powers they added to the second game, but this one was great. I felt like there were enough without having too many, and most of them were used enough.
Yeah, and you could also, you could map to, I think, you could map to 3, like I think square, triangle, circle. You could map different powers, which I love. I love when games let you do that, and also, you can switch out which ones you have, like in your quick use at any point in time. I love when games do that. And I definitely found myself in a given situation, getting my set. And anyway, all right. So the big thing with this game, I think, it's definitely a collectathon. A lot of different collectibles. I kept I limited this list here that we're looking at to like the quote unquote like important ones, or at least the noteworthy ones. So first you have in the real world, you have psi cards, which I believe those are also in the mind as well, but you find a lot of them in the real world. They're used to increase your psi rank, which pretty much everything is used to increase your psi rank. That is kind of the big thing. You need 9 to increase it. And then you also have later in the game when you get to the asylum, you have to find the brains, the stolen brains of the campers. Really weird collectible, one of the weirdest in a game I've ever played. And it doesn't help that whenever Raz finds one, he automatically knows whose it is for some reason, and he kisses it every single time before putting it in his bag. And I'm like, that's just weird, man.
I never noticed that. That is weird.
Yeah, like he's like mwah, and then puts it in his bag, and I'm like, but that that does, yeah. And then you're at a camp. There are scavenger hunt items.
Hated them.
They were fine. There were 16 of them total. I believe 16. But then we get the mental world. And this is kind of like what we were speaking about earlier with the game and like mental issues. You have the emotional baggage. There are 5 different bags per level. You have to find the bag. You have to find the accompanying tag. And you put them together. And the baggage goes from sad to happy. And this is one of those things that I love about how this game portrays minds, of like when you first encounter mental baggage in basic braining, and Coach Oleander's going through the tutorial, he's like, hey kid, everyone's got baggage, they just sometimes might need a little help sorting it out, and that's something that you're doing when you find this different emotional baggage, and you help them sort it out. You then have mental cobwebs, which are these purple glowy cobwebs that form in an area of the mind that isn't used for prolonged periods of time. You need a cobweb duster to get them. These are like I would say like the other mental collectibles are all kind of like you'll just get them, and more often than not you'll do it anyway. But cobwebs, I would say, are the most like
you have to go
optional.
Out of your way.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Like sometimes they can be directly in your way, but for the most part they're just kind of there. But they are turned into psi cards. So again, increase your psi rank. You also have the memory vaults, probably my favorite collectible in the game. You have, I think, like 2 per person, might vary, but they are living safes that contain repressed memories of the person whose mind you are in. You do have to kind of it just runs in like a circle. You got to chase it down and hit it, and then it'll open up and give you this little like scrapbook, flip book that you look, and you learn more about the person whose mind you're in, which once again, just a very great way to make a collectible part of the game. Because I wanted to find all these to learn more about these people, because especially when you're in the insane asylum, it's a great way to show how these people who were at one time just normal everyday people ended up in the insane asylum. You see their lives and how they ended up being put in this asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just a really, really cool collectible.
That's true. Collectibles, any collectible that has multi-functions, such as, something for you to do, busy work, and it's also world building, that just makes the game more fun.
Yeah. And then you get the big daddies, the figments. There are like hundreds of them. In the entire game, there's well over 1,000. Like, I think the smallest level has like 104 or something like that. But yeah, like there's at least 100, closer to 200 in like every level. There are a lot of them. They're used, like every one you collect has like a point value that builds to your psi rank. And there, like I said, there are hundreds of them. It would not be so annoying if they weren't nearly invisible. And especially depending on the world you're in, they can be nearly impossible to see. Like completely, like almost see-through.
Yeah, multiple times I had to watch complete walkthroughs because I was looking for a specific one or two on a level.
Yeah. I guess the one good thing, because this was, like, of all the collectibles in this game, this was the only one I had to look up. And to give them some sort of credit, despite the fact that they are very hard to find and they are very annoying, it does tell you, like, in each specific area of a person's mind how many there are. It does this for all collectibles, but so you know, like, you're not searching areas of the mind where there aren't any, because you can look at that. And despite the fact that there are so many and they are so stupid to find, I only had to use a guide for like the 1,000+ figments in this game for like, I think literally like it was like less than 20. But it's like, it's something that if you were going for 100% in this game, I would say, you know, a solid chunk of your game time will be looking for figments that you have missed. And yeah, it's just kind of annoying in that regard. But they're cool, like they're nice, like I love the way they are, because they're like little like neon sign kind of things. And usually like the images always have to deal with the person's mind you're in. So they are like personalized to every level. Like the concept, 100% on board, really cool. I just wish they weren't so hard to find, which I even read, I think like, it might have even been Tim Schafer had like tweeted about it or something. I read an article that in Psychonauts 2, they did make them easier to find. They made them more opaque so that you're not like he said like, oh, they're still like a little tricky, like, you know, because they are like, even in this game they're like hidden sometimes. But he said they're more opaque so they are easier to see, because in some levels, like Mila's level specifically, super hard to see them. Like just super hard to see them.
I was thinking about the Napoleon level. I had a really hard time with the figments.
That one was really bad as well. That one that was one of the few times where like I would say 50% of the figments I had to look up were in that level itself.
Yeah. Which,
you know, because it is, yeah, that's all the big collectibles. You know, everything is used to build your psi rank, which, speaking of psi rank, your psi rank, the psi cadet rank. So the max rank is 101. It does unlock you new powers at levels 10, 20, 30. And then after that, every 5 levels just upgrades one of your powers. And yeah, this is basically the purpose of the game, is building up your Psy Cadet rank. Like, pretty much you could beat this game. Like, I don't know exactly what the minimum you can beat this game with is, but hypothetically, you only need to get to 30 to beat the game, because there's nothing like, you know, most collectathons, which this one is not primarily a collectathon. The biggest difference to me being, in most collectathons, you have to collect a certain number of collectibles to be able to move on. Like, usually to move on to the next world, you know, it'll be like, oh, you have, like in Spyro, it's like, oh, you have to have 6,000 gems before you can move on to the next home world, or, you know, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. This game does not do that, so it's like, but sometimes you are limited by your powers, so that's why I'm saying you probably need to get to 30, because that unlocks your last power, but other than that, every other power that you need, you just unlock through story. Or if you have to buy them, that's not something that has to do with your psi rank, so that's something you might have to grind a bit, but not too bad. And yeah, so it's like very short game if you're not trying to get this leveled up, but I would say that is like the big focus of the game. Mm-hmm. And then we don't normally do this, but I do want to talk at least a tiny bit about like each level specifically, because the biggest draw for this game is the levels. They're all artistically unique, different like concepts and how you like get through the world, all very different, which is like the big draw of this game, and I assume as well a big draw of the sequel. So yeah, I did just want to talk a bit about each of them, just because, like I said, I can just remember every level of this game so clearly. and I think that is when you know that your level design is top notch.
Mm-hmm.
So first, you have the real world. There's the Whispering Rock Psychic Summer Camp, which is fully explorable. There are many different areas. You can like free roam, talk to the campers, look for collectibles, and I just think like that was something I didn't expect. I thought going in that the game would work on a level by level basis. Just like you do one person's brain, cutscenes, next person's brain, cutscenes, whatever. But the camp is a legitimate hub world. There's a shop where you can buy stuff. You can just explore and talk to campers, get collectibles. Like it is its own world.
It's actually surprisingly sizable as well. There's a lot of different areas, and it takes you a while to get to kind of like memorize where everything is and get your feel. As well, it also expands as you go through the story. More areas are unlocked in the hub world and the open world and the real life. But I too thought like you that each mind would be an individual level and it would just be cutscenes in between. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, like I liked exploring the camp. It was fun. It was like very, I guess, low risk compared to the worlds because it's not like there are animals, like the bears, the leopards, or pumas or whatever, cougars. I don't know, cougars, but they're very sparsely spread out. So you're really it's just a free place for you to explore. Do some platforming, get some collectibles, talk to campers. It's just it's just like a fun break from all the craziness of the mines.
You're right. It does have a more laid back, cheery vibe about it.
And then you also can explore the insane asylum. There's not much to that one. That's a very linear place. There is a small bit of exploration because there are collectibles to find, but it's very much just linear. Basically your whole goal in the asylum is to get to the top, and each kind of level you do just accomplishes that goal.
Something I wanted to mention about the open world map is there are hidden places, signs, secrets, and interactions with campers that you can see as you're just going around, and I think it is a really nice attention to detail and good world building by...
No, I absolutely agree. There are little side stories with the campers and stuff that you see while going through if you basically talk to them after every mission and stuff, you'll see there are two campers that are in a band, and you kind of see their little I think at one point they have an argument and break up the band, and then they get back together. There's one guy who starts out super timid and then is a ladies' man by the end, different stuff like that. And yeah, those are cool. I did like those. Yeah, something that it certainly made me want it because just be oh, let me just go talk to everybody and see these little options and stuff before I get, because it's certainly really weird kids. The design, that's something that always stuck with me, was all the campers look weird. They are really weirdly designed, which obviously is the point. It's not like it's just bad. But yeah, it is certainly something that it's they have it, so why not make it good? And they did.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's get to the mental worlds.
Yes.
We've mentioned it a few times, but the first world is Coach Oleander's basic training. This world is like an obstacle course, and that's about it. It has a military vibe to it because that's how Coach Oleander is, and I thought it was the perfect opening to the game. Yeah,
it's very like you said, it's very very war. I think it is a really good opening level as well. Yeah, it's certainly the most linear of all the levels. There's pretty much no exploration needed. Has the least amount of every figments and stuff because it's the shortest. But it's a great introductory level. And then you have Sasha's shooting gallery, Agent 9, Sasha 9. His is literally just a giant cube with different levels. Because he's just obsessed with order. He is a very geometric brain. Everything is order. As Raz, you screw it up and have to help him fix it. It is, in my opinion, it's the most plain because it is a secondary tutorial level. Not much to it.
True, I agree. After that, you have Mila's dance party. And this level was the first level I really enjoyed. I think this is the level where you learn levitation.
That is correct, yeah.
And this is really where the game picked up for me. When your movement goes through the roof, you can jump and basically fly. So you can go almost anywhere in every level after this.
Yeah, it's this also, like, to me, like you said, this is when I think the game really kicks into high gear in kind of every aspect, in level design. The level just looks awesome, and kind of the different tasks you have to do to move on to the next part of each of the level. The music, I honestly can't remember anything about the music of the first two levels. Like, I think, like, the basic branding is very, like, militaristic, but I can't remember Sasha's shooting gallery at all. But, like, every level after this I can remember very well in terms of music. And, like, to me, this, like I said, this is the definitive, like, you're in it now level. And it's just awesome.
Yeah.
One of the worst for finding figments, because the level is so bright and neon colored, which really helps the figments blend in.
That is true. It's also a lot of failing the platforming and redoing it, which can increase the time it takes to beat the level and collect everything, and just makes it frustrating.
Yeah, I would say in terms of beating the level and collecting, this is probably one of the longer ones.
Mm-hmm. The next level is when Rasputin goes into the mind of a lungfish. And this one is the first really interesting one, because it's a city of lungfish people. And Rasputin is a giant creature who is destroying it.
Yeah, it's the monster movie level, which is really cool, because it has the buildings, like a giant city that you climb on at some point to, like, get figments and stuff like that. You actually, like, destroy buildings and stuff. Like,
they play the news, the lungfish news plays.
Yeah, whenever you enter
level.
whenever you enter, like, a new area and stuff.
Yeah, really cute level.
What I think is probably one of the most well-known levels from the game. I don't know if it's like everyone hates it or everyone loves it. Either way, I think it's usually the most memorable for everybody. The Milkman Conspiracy, which is in the mind of a security guard that is also, like, a patient of the insane asylum, which is the first insane asylum level you will do. And this level is trippy. Like, you're on, like, suburban streets, but they're, like, all twisty around. It's basically you're in the mind of a like, super, super hardcore conspiracy theorist. And, like, there are cameras everywhere. All the people are suspicious of you, and you have to, like, hold something to disguise yourself as, like, these different people. Like, hold a stop sign to disguise yourself as, like, a policeman. Hold a phone to disguise yourself as, like, a phone operator. Very trippy, but a very cool level.
Yeah, it does a really interesting job of providing an image for what psychological sickness can look like. You know, a good job of representing that in a game.
Yeah, like the job of of the mind of, like, someone with, like, extreme paranoia. Because literally, like, everywhere you are, if you look in, like, a car, if you look in, like, bushes, you'll just see cameras popping out, pointing at you. Like, you start the game, like, in his house, and you can see outside his window there are just cameras everywhere. Like, it's certainly, like, man, it's crazy. Oh yeah, Glorious Theater. A very cool level. It is literally just a theater stage, and your job is to help put on this theater production of the actress Gloria von Neumann, I think, something like that. And basically, her whole deal is she, was, like, pressured to be successful by her mother, like, kind of like did one of those, like, went to ballet schools, which are just awful in any sort of fictional world. And she eventually became successful. She won, like, basically, like, an Oscar. But then her mother killed herself, which eventually is, like, kind of what led to her going insane entirely. And I just, like, it's just really cool. It's, like going through the play, and you have these, like, children actors that are putting on the play. The acting in the play, the lines spoken in the play are very much, like, her thoughts on everything. Gloria's thoughts of, like at one point, like, the mom is, like, killing herself, and, like, the actress, playing the mom, whatever, is like, oh, I'm doing this to, like, scar my daughter or something like that because she disappointed me. Something like that. Like, very much seeing, like, okay, well, Gloria, like, absolutely blames, like, thinks her mother's death is her fault, and, her mother did it because of her, and it's certainly, like, looking at, someone, like, grief, kind of, exploring that. Once again, it's just very interesting. Like, you actually have to help put on the stage production. You have to change the lights so it's the right lighting. You have to help set up the actual set pieces. And you have to stop someone from, like, sabotaging the play. Yeah, very, very cool. I really like this.
After that, so Rasputin meets a character named Fred Bonaparte, who I think believes himself to be related.
I think he is an ancestor of Napoleon Bonaparte.
Okay.
At the very least, he thinks he is, which is what matters.
Exactly. And so he is playing the Battle of Waterloo against Napoleon himself. Well, in his, cognition.
In his mind, yeah.
So Rasputin goes in, and the level is designed as like a gigantic enlarged version of the board game, where you have to basically go around and fix certain things and convince Fred Bonaparte's board pieces to do what they're supposed to do and beat Napoleon in the game.
Yeah, like you have to help recruit the different people to fight for him. You have to move the pieces to knock out Napoleon's pieces, and help Fred win the game. Which it's cool because you like can explore the room that they're sitting in, and then you like shrink yourself down to actually be in the game world. And it's the only level that is just completely 100% open world, like the entire level. It's not like every other level has their distinct areas. This is just the one place, which is one of the reasons that it's harder to find all the figments.
Right. This is actually the level I had the most fun with. For me, this is the most memorable level.
Yeah, like they're playing, because Waterloo, the Battle of Waterloo is like a Risk-esque game, which Risk is like, it's one of those games that I have never played. But, because it is one of those games that, like, takes forever to play. But it's like, I would love to just have some dudes block off a whole day and just play. Like these, like, strategic war type games. And, yeah, it's certainly, like, I love games within games. And this is an awesome one. Like, it's really fun to play.
Mm-hmm. It is extremely immersive. The level is designed really well.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it was the one that I had the hardest time with the figments, because a lot of the figments are green or of green pigments, which are yellow, any oranges. And this level is mostly grass and then yellow grass. Yeah. And so a lot of the pigments blend in and they're really, really hard to see.
Yeah. And then there's a lot that are just
pardon me.
Yeah. And then there's a lot that are just in the air as well. Like, and it's like you have to find a specific place to launch from or like stuff like that. Like, and even then it's like there's something that required very like good timing with jumping and gliding to be able to reach them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's certainly one that like a lot of trial and error in getting the figments, which is not something you really experience too much in any of the other levels. Like I said, this level is just so open because not only is it a wide open area, there's not really a lot of platforming in this one as well. It's mostly flat. Then Black Velvetopia, which you are in the mind of this artist, who basically is constantly taunted in his mind by this bull. This level, it's like a kind of like a Spanish city, like buildings all super close together. And basically the main area of this world, you're in this like circular city, and then there's a circle in the middle that this bull is just constantly running around in, so you have to constantly be on the look for that while trying to get into different alleyways to explore. One of the most artistically cool, because it's all very like black lighty and like, very like neon and stuff. Once again, a little harder for figments. And you have to like use paintings, which is cool. You use paintings as like portals to get to different areas of the world. Like you throw like a painting of a vine on the wall, and then it's a vine you can climb, or like you throw a painting on like a window, which allows you to get into a building, stuff like that. Really cool world. I would probably say when you get to like the, better levels of this game, this one's probably my least favorite.
What? I actually really enjoyed this level. I thought it was easily the best visually.
I think I will absolutely say visually it is one of the best. I love the visuals of this level. It was just like, while playing it, it was like, it was just like, it was just a lot. Like, this was one that I was just so much like, I have no idea what I am supposed to be doing right now. The use of like the paintings and stuff kind of makes it a little bit more difficult.
It was pretty complicated as far as these levels go.
Mm-hmm. But, it was just like, it was fun. I enjoyed it. It just like, this was one that very much, I was just like, okay, let's take a minute here. Let me think about this and figure out where I'm going, where I've been. Like, it was the only level that I got lost in. Like, every other level, like, I was able to, they're not linear, but it's very much like, you're doing this one thing. Let me find this one thing. Okay, now I have to find this other thing. But this one is like, you're looking for cards to help him build a stack to the moon, and it's just, that's it. Like, all the cards are open at the beginning, you just have to find them, and so that was one that it just took me, like times where I'm like, okay, like, I have no idea where I've been, I have no idea where I haven't been, and kind of having to figure that out. But no, I'm actually surprised that you like this level. When I was playing through this, like, anytime I'm playing through a game that I know you're playing through, or like, I know that you are going to play through because you know I'm playing through it, I always think of, like, is this the world that Noah will give up on? Or that Noah will just absolutely hate? And this was one that I was like, oh, Noah's going to hate this.
No, I actually really enjoyed it. This was one of my favorites.
Oh, that's a pleasant surprise. Yeah, I was like, oh man, Noah's going to hate this level. I expected to get calls about it. It was... But then you get the last level, the Meat Circus, which is a combination butcher shop circus, because it is a mix of the two minds of Oleander and Rasputin. This one's very basic. It's the last level. It's kind of infamous in the initial PS2 version of the game for being super, super hard.
I was gonna say this one was extremely difficult. I had a hard time collecting everything on it.
It was the PS4 version is easier.
Well, yeah,
they made because obviously when they remastered it, they were like, well, a lot of people hated this. Let's fix it, which I'm glad about. But man, it is definitely hard, and still, it's like I felt like it was a step down from the previous levels. The Theater, Waterloo, and Black Velvetopia, all you can do in whatever order you want, which is cool. I like that. But yeah, I think it wasn't as good as the previous levels, but it's a good ending level. The boss fight is good. I actually, I got the platinum trophy in this game, and to do that, you have to collect everything and get your Psi rank to 101. I accidentally missed emotional baggage in this level. When you get to the end and you run into the circus tent and that gets you to the boss, I didn't realize that running into the circus tent would automatically start the boss fight, and there was baggage, literally it's on the last platform there's a piece of baggage to your right, and that was the last one I needed, last thing in the entire game. And I was like, well, okay, I'm gonna just run this way, get any figments in this little opening here, and then come back and get the thing, and it cutscene me. I was in the boss fight, I couldn't go back, and because this is one of those point of no return games, which it does tell you when the point of no return is, which is always a great thing to do for games that have that, I had to replay the entire level.
That's awful.
Yeah, it was annoying, which is probably one of the reasons that my opinion of this level is also lower.
That's fair. I was going to say, I have done that in many times when you're playing an open world or free roam game, or not even, just a little bit of choice in pathing. And you come up between a crossroads, and you think, which way is the right way to go? And you go the other way to get the collectibles first, so you don't have to come back. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times I've gone the way I think is the wrong way, and it ends up being the right way, but you don't notice until far too late.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst experience playing games. Yeah, those are the levels, and like I said, very much the start of Psychonauts. And one of the reasons, the reason that I love this game so much, the reason that I am super excited to play Psychonauts 2, to see all the especially with how much gaming has evolved since Psychonauts on the PS2, to see what the different worlds are like in Psychonauts 2. I am so excited for it.
I'm also excited. I know that Psychonauts 2 has been at least received critically well, and I hope it sells well, although it's way too early for those kind of numbers to be out. But I do think it's going to be a really good game. Yeah,
I'm certainly on board for it. So then notable trophies. Like I said, I did get the platinum. It's pretty straightforward. Collect everything, get the platinum. There are specific scenes with campers you have to find that can be hit or miss. You can only find them at one certain moment and then it's too late. So if anyone was trying to get the platinum, I would recommend have a guide for those, because it was certainly super stressful being oh man, I don't want to miss these because I don't want to have to play back through the game at any point to get to these. Because replaying a game for trophies will always negatively affect my opinion of a game.
Right. I was going to say, if I don't have the platinum trophy, it's because of that. Because I didn't want to have to go back and get the class interactions.
Yeah, I don't think you do, and I think that is exactly why. Because I remember you were talking to me while you were playing it.
But I do have this next trophy.
Yes. Math is hard. Achieve rank 101.
I was talking about the one after that, but my bad.
Sorry. Math is hard. Achieve rank 101. Yeah, so there are 101 ranks, Psi ranks in the game. And this is just for getting all of them, which pretty much means, like, this is your, like, 100% completion trophy, because you have to get all the figments, all the emotional baggage, all the safes, all the cobwebs to get all the side cards, to then get all the like, the side cores to get your cadet rank up. Literally, you have to get everything, and yeah, that's it. It's just 100%. But this is a fun game to 100%. Anyway, and then, Noah, you have this one. I love punching! ! Complete the punchy target minigame.
That's true.
Yes.
This is in the first level.
Yes, the very first level, basic branding.
Coach Oleander's. There's a point in the level where there is a spot in the middle for Rasputin to stand, and many places in a circle around him where dummy opponents pop up, and Rasputin has a second or two to hit them. And to get this trophy, you have to get a certain number. I think it's 50.
Well, right? They're like different levels, and you have to beat every level.
Right.
Like, you have to beat the first level to continue on with basic branding. And then, like, the others just get you some, like, extra stuff, like arrowheads or something like that, like the in-game currency. But then the last level you beat, which is the hardest, you have to get, like, you have a certain amount of time to get a certain number of points. Enemies are worth points. And then also friendlies can pop up that if you hit them, you lose points. The last level gets you a Psy rank, which is the secret 101st rank. If you don't do the punching minigame, your max is 100, which you unlock things, like the last thing you unlock for Psy Cadet rank is 100. Like, you don't get anything extra for getting 101, but, I mean, I guess you get the trophy, but, that wasn't a thing in the original. But yeah, you have to beat every level, and it is hard. Like,
it is very hard. It took me about 30 tries.
I cheated. I cheated.
How do you cheat?
So basically, with this kind of goes into something to talk about a bit later as well. But this game, the way that this works, the enemies pop up and go down, and when you're on this last level, you have kind of like an outer circle and an inner circle. And the last level, like the first 10 seconds, it's both circles enemies will pop out at. But then for the last time of it, they only pop up in the middle. And it's like they're up and then down. Like, you have to instantly pop up, point, punch, and get them. Which can be kind of annoying with the kind of like PS2 era controls not being super responsive sometimes. But this was literally a case of... Because I played this game initially back when I was 100% obsessed with trophies. Even more than I am now. And this is, if you're playing for trophies, this is the first trophy you'll earn in this game. And it is the hardest trophy in the game. So literally, I thought to myself, well, if I can't do this, then I'm just not going to play the rest of the game. But I looked it up, and basically you can do this thing where the second an enemy pops out, you pause it, and then they won't disappear, so then you have time to aim your shot, unpause, punch, pause, and the next enemy, and it's so fast that unpause, punch, pause, the next enemy has popped up and you know where he is. And then figure out which direction you're aiming, unpause, punch, pause, and you can do that. Even doing that, it took me like 10 tries to do it. I just could not get this down. But I did. Yeah, it's very, very difficult. Yep. I have seen people do it legitimately, and I am impressed by them because, man, I could not. I couldn't even get halfway to the target score legitimately. It was very much I might have to give up on this game. That sucks. Because, I really wanted to play it for a long time. But yeah, no, it's a hard one. It is a hard one. And then, talk about Easter eggs. Psychonauts has one of, I feel like, the most famous gaming Easter eggs, at least in my experience. It's an Easter egg I see referenced a lot. Mila's hidden trauma. So in Mila's dance party, you can find in this it's off to the side room, but it's not super, super hidden. But you find a safe with memories of Mila's life before she became a Psychonaut, where she worked at an orphanage that burned down while she was out buying groceries, killing every single kid inside. Well, next to that safe is this chest that opens up. I think you punch it to open it. It might just open automatically. And if you jump in there, it takes you into this nightmare room where you are surrounded by fire and surrounded by burning ghosts of these children. And they're whisper screaming at Mila to help them and that they're in pain and all this stuff. And that's it.
Yeah, I found it.
Well, it is a trophy to find it in the PS4 version. But yeah, it's a cheerful level of the game. Easily the most cheerful level of the entire game. It's a dance party. That's why you're there. And it is crazy.
Yeah, it's super depressing.
Yeah, it is super depressing. Yeah. It's insane, but it's there. Oh, so then we get to our questions. Favorite moments, Noah?
My favorite moments are every time you would go inside somebody's mind and it would play that little cutscene where Raz puts the door on their head and the screen swirls and you go inside, and just the excitement of finding a new world, like, oh, what's this one going to be? Everyone's different.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that for the sequel.
Yeah. Mine I love, because this is a funny game. I would rate this as a funny game. Any scene where it's Raz and Lily talking to each other, because he is always so focused on, like, being a Psychonaut and stuff, because that's his dream, that's what he wants to do. Like, there's so many times where, like, he'll, like, accidentally read her mind, and she's always like, oh, why don't you just shut up and kiss me, something like that, and then she's like, wait, did you just read my mind? And he gets all, flustered. I just think they're so funny. Favorite level?
My favorite level is actually the Battle of Waterloo.
Okay. No, that's a good one. Yeah. Really goes in tandem with our indie bit.
Yeah, it does, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, mine is the Milkman Conspiracy. I just love it. It's so quirky. It had, like, one moment where I was stuck, like, literally for, like, an hour because I couldn't figure out what to do. And then when I figured out, I was like, well, how is someone supposed to know that? That's dumb. Like, just that one moment. But other than that,
it was the one where you're going into that building and you have to walk up to the camera or whatever. Because I spent a lot of time on the.
It was like I couldn't get through, like, a gate or something, and to get through the gate, you needed, like, a crow feather or something like that, and, like, to get it, you had like I know at one point you had to, like, use clairvoyance to get in the mind of a crow. Like, that thing, I could not figure out what to do for so long that was the only moment in this game that I had to look it up, because I was going back to areas I'd been, going back and forth all over, and I was just like, I can't figure this out. Like, I don't know what the game wants me to do.
That's true. And I was going to say, in most games, you're talking about, it's not like you come across a problem, you can't figure it out immediately, and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to look it up. No. You're like, oh, well, I don't know what to do here. I'll go back to the beginning of the level. I'll go to the end of the level. I'll go over here. I'll go, you try everything until you're like, I literally cannot figure this out. If I had infinite time, I'm going to look it up.
And this was one of those, which very much, like, hurt my perception of that level. But like I said, just the rest of it, I just love it. I love the like, paranoia, conspiracy theory type stuff. It's really cool. What you didn't like about the game?
Yeah, I'm going to say what I didn't like about the game is kind of along the lines of what you don't like about the game. For me, it is the fixed-ish camera on most, not on every, like in the free roam, it's rotatable, but mostly it's pretty fixed, and it gets stuck on walls a lot. And that's just a PS2, early gaming thing, is they were figuring out how cameras are going to work in games, and it's just hard to play games before rotatable cameras for me. Yeah,
no, I can get that. And like I said, like, mine would, in terms of, like, because, this is, like, just a remaster, like, HD re-release. They did not change anything about the design. In terms of, like, the last level, how it's easier, I don't know what they changed. I assumed that they added checkpoints that weren't there initially. But I didn't play the original, so I don't know what the difference is. I just know that despite the fact that it's still easier, it's still super hard. But a lot of it is like I had issues with platform stuff sometimes, and, like, getting caught on the environment, or, stuff like that, like, very much like, okay, well, that should have worked. I did what I was supposed to do, like I reached this ledge thing, like, he just didn't grab it, or something like that. Like, I don't know, like, there are definitely, like, in terms of platforming, I feel like most of my deaths in the platforming were not my fault. It's the game itself. And then, even then, like, some of that is exploitable in a good way. Like, oh, I got here when I absolutely shouldn't have been able to, because I should have, like, slid off this mountain here, but because of just the jagged pixels and stuff, I'm allowed to stand there, Which, like, so some of it's good, but yeah, that was the big thing for me, just those issues. Replayability?
I don't think this game is very replayable. For instance, personally, I didn't want to replay it to get the platinum. I was content having played through the game, gotten all the difficult trophies and the ones I wanted to, and collected everything I wanted to.
Yeah. I would say it's not replayable for me as much, because I feel like I would not be able to replay this game without getting 100%, without wanting to get 100%. But specifically, the figments make getting 100% on this game annoying enough that I don't want to do it.
See, that's Psychonauts 2?
that's-
Or that's Psychonauts 1.
Oh,
Jesus.
oh man, that's
It's been a long day.
you're never living that down.
It's been a long day. Jeez.
Anyway, that's Psychonauts.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, no one's gonna get that.
Big shout outs to Tim Schafer.
Yeah, this is... Was that the Tim you were talking about?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this Tim.
No.
Because of like you being exhausted. Anyway, yeah. So now we're going to move on to the indie bit. The bit where we talk about indie games.
Yay.
So today, we're talking about Hitman Go. So Hitman Go was originally released on the Vita, and then was like re-released on the PlayStation 4 as Hitman Go Definitive Edition. So I guess technically it's Hitman Go Definitive Edition. I never played Hitman Go on Vita, so I have no idea what the difference is. So we're just going with Hitman Go. I assume some of the like worlds or DLC in the Vita game that are just on the PS4 version, I would assume that's the difference, but just talk about what we played. It is there's not really a story to it. Basically, the game is like it's set up like a board game where you control Agent 47 as a board game piece, and you have to move against all these other pieces that are moving, take out guards, assassinate your targets. A lot of levels. Each level has like 3 stamps that you can get. One is just beating the level, the other 2 are bonuses. Don't have to get them all in one go. And yeah, and there are I think 7 different board games that like are basically just different locations with different enemies, different targets, things like that. I initially I got this game when I was 100% obsessed with platinum trophies, to the point where like I was buying games and playing games specifically because they had easy platinum trophies. Yes, I have the platinum trophies in My Name is Mayo. No, I'm not ashamed about it. But I don't do that anymore. Like, I got to a point where I was like, I'll just play games I like and get the platinum trophies in those instead of buying these games. But when I did buy some of these games, I was pleasantly surprised by some of them. Of like, you know what? This is an enjoyable experience. I like this. And Hitman Go was one of those games for me. What did you like it, Noah?
I hated this game. Everything fun about Hitman? It's not in here. I'll tell you what is in here. A piece that is bald in a suit with a red tie that resembles Agent 47.
No, it is Agent 47.
Right. And quote-unquote board/maps that are places like, those really famous Hitman places like a pool.
And a tennis court.
A tennis court.
Someone's
backyard.
Right.
And you're right. There could not be less story in this game. There's not even a single word of dialogue put on the screen to tell you what to do from the start of the game. I've never seen it in a game before. But literally nothing. It gives you no instruction whatsoever from the beginning. You're just supposed to figure everything out as you go. That's something I don't really have a huge problem with. In this game itself, the gameplay of moving around, and there's usually one right answer for most levels. That could change when you get really, really deep, but I only got about halfway through a couple of the different board games. And
I guess boards works.
Yeah, sure. And they're mostly pretty simple, not too complicated. But mostly I just thought it was boring. I understood, like, it's easy. I can see why you would get it for a platinum trophy. It would be easy to follow a guide and complete it within a day.
No, that is 100% what I did. Like, you just look up a guide. Literally, there is a step-by-step, push this button, push this button, push this button, push this button guide for every level. It took me like 2.5 hours to do. But like I said, like, I just really loved the concept and the idea when I played through it. I think the board games, I think the scenes all look so cool. I love the way they look. Like, it's like a little, like, wooden bottom, and then you have the world. You have, like, it's cut off, so, like, if you have, like, a pool, like, it's literally cut off on the side of the pool, and you just see water. I love the art of this game. I thought it looked really cool. And then, like I said, like, I really liked the game, despite the fact that, like, initially when I played through it with a guide. And this was, like, I platinumed this game, and then maybe, like, 2-3 weeks later, platinum Psychonauts. But yeah, like, I have since gone back and played through this game, not like 100%, but just played through all the levels, getting, as many stamps as necessary to unlock the next, scene and stuff like that. I have played through this game maybe like 3 times since I initially got that platinum trophy. Like I just really like, it's just a nice game that I just put on. I just, I'm killing time to. Because yeah, like if you're not going for completion, I like even like I said, like maybe 3 hours to beat the game if you're not using a guide and you don't already know all the solutions. Because there's always enough of a gap that I don't remember. But no, I surprisingly really like this game. It's like I would never recommend it to anybody as like, oh hey man, you'll love this. It's just one of those games that I'm just like, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I would never recommend anybody purchase it.
Well, I got it on sale.
True. Yeah, no, like, it's not an awful game. I just didn't think it was very fun.
I gotcha. It's certainly, it's a slow-paced strategic game if you were playing it as intended.
Mm.
But yeah, it's something that like, I'll put on like a podcast, YouTube video, listen to.
Right, yeah, I would consider it to be like a great mobile game.
Yeah, which initially it was.
True.
Like that is a big thing as well. It initially was a mobile game. Yeah, so that's Hitman Go.
So we're not going to be seeing Lara Croft go on this channel, thank Christ.
Well, not yet.
But no, not ever.
Not yet.
The next game is Parappa 2. No, I mean, the next game is Super Hot.
Oh.
Specifically, the VR version. They are different.
They are.
Yes, the actual base game version has more.
Yeah, I figured.
Stuff.
Yeah, I figured.
Which is fair, but Super Hot is actually the first VR game I played after buying a VR. It was the reason I wanted one.
Well, you can talk about that next week.
Yeah, I'm just really excited to talk about it.
We don't do weekly episodes. Cool, yeah, Super Hot VR. I'm into it. We'll talk about it.
Cool.
Yeah. So we hit 500 downloads.
Yay, congrats to us.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's like a sizable number.
It's almost sizable. 1,000 is the first sizable number, but that's cute that you think so. I do want to say thank you, right? Thank you to everybody who listens to us just sit here and basically bullshit about games for an hour, maybe 2.
Yeah. Cool that, we just have people that actually like, hey, I like this game. And, they'll listen to it and hate us or not hate us. I don't know.
Or those bots I keep paying for are paying off. Make you feel better.
Can you get bots to download stuff? Well, I guess you probably
think so.
can. I don't know.
But anywho.
But no, it's super
that's
cool.
Awesome, yeah.
So, this is our 22nd episode. So
wow.
That's cool. We've been doing this almost a year now. Almost a year.
Yay.
Yeah, we're almost there. Anyway, that's just that. Thanks to anyone who has downloaded this podcast and listened to us bullshit about games for hours upon hours. And yeah, don't forget, new episodes every other Monday. Rate and subscribe. Tell us if you like our show or tell us if you don't, and tell us why. Tell your friends and enemies about the podcast. And follow our Instagram, The Super Gamer Bros, for updates on episodes. And yeah, we'll see you guys next game.
Bye.